Welcome to 45 South tonight. My name is Maureen McQuillan and I will be your host for this evening. Some articles from the Oamaru Mail today, Tuesday the 9th of September. Final changes to dog policy discussed. Final changes to be well debated issues of dog control in Waitaki District was discussed at a recent meeting of the Waitaki District Council. 81 submissions were received on the draft Waitaki Dog Control Policy and Bylaw 2014. When it went out for public consultation in July, the councillors have recently held a workshop to discuss proposed changes. As a result, a number of recommendations were presented to members of the Customer Services Committee, which include walking of the dogs in the Oamaru CBD area. Councillor Hugh Perkins disagreed with the recommendation prohibiting dogs on lead in commercial areas of the CBD from 7 p.m. to 8 a.m, saying that owners were looking for a well-lit area to walk their dogs in the evening. He said he would like to see dogs permitted on a lead in commercial areas for a trial period of 1 year. A 1-year trial period would work without going through bylaw process. I urge you to consider allowing people to do what they're probably already doing, and that is walking their dogs in the CBD. The issue of whether dog owners would clean up after their dogs was raised by Councillor Melanie Tavendale. Suggested that unless dog owners were caught in the act of not carrying bags and cleaning up after their dogs, Council had few powers to do anything about it. The motion from Councillor Perkins allowing dogs on lead in the evenings in the CBD for a trial period was lost, and the status quo, which totally prohibits dogs in the CBD, has gone forward for final approval. 3 other changes to be finalised at the full council meeting on September the 17th include no dogs allowed on sports fields, the addition of new dog exercise areas, and dogs are not allowed in council reserves on lead as long as they are more than 10 metres from a playground. The next story, also from the Oamaru Mail. SKC creates its own app. An Oamaru school has become one of the first in the country to create its own app. The St Kevin's College app, which was devised over the last year by Principal Paul Olsen and Deputy Principal Kerry Ryan, is available to pupils and parents at the school. Deputy Principal Mr Ryan said he and Mr Olsen had been excited about the idea of creating an app for the school. We just saw it as being a fantastic way to keep up to date with the ever-improving technology of the 21st century. But also because people carry their phones everywhere. The app includes a wide variety of features. Pupils can choose their courses for the following year, parents can sign permission slips, canteen items are listed, fortnightly indicators are viewable, parents and teachers can communicate over absence, and daily notices are available. The app can be downloaded from Play Store for Android phone users and will be uploaded to the Apple App Store in the coming weeks. Mr Ryan said he was pleased with the way the app had turned out. I'm really pleased with it. It's come out awesome. It's easy to use and it will make things a whole lot easier for the school, with absences now being able to be done through the app. Pupil will be able to choose options for next year and access many other things. At this stage, about a quarter of the 420 pupils at St Kevin's College have downloaded the app, and Mr Ryan said he expected the number to rise when more people became aware of it. There are plenty of pupils with iPhones, so when it's available to them, I'm sure they will download it, and I'm expecting most of the pupils who have an Android phone to have app downloaded. The app is free to download and can be accessed by visiting the school's website. Our final story, also from the Oamaru Mail, Big Lotto prize unclaimed. The holder of $600,000 winning lottery ticket, which was purchased at Paper Plus in Oamaru, has not yet come forward to claim their prize. Paper Plus owner Dick Cottier is urging people to check their tickets. It's nice to see that money struck here in Oamaru, he said. This is the 12th time that the store had its first division winner in the last 10 years. So I urge you all to go and check your tickets. There might be some lovely money there waiting for you. Well, after the break, I will be back with the weather and the program for this evening. And now for the weather. Tuesday at 1 p.m. The temperature, 13 degrees. Our overnight low is expected to be 4 degrees. Tomorrow, Wednesday, the high will be 15 degrees with an overnight low of 4 degrees. Fine, some morning low cloud or fog, northeasterlies. Sunrise 6:48 a.m, sunset 6:19 p.m. Tides for Wednesday are high 3:55 a.m, 4:21 p.m. Low 10:06 a.m. and 10:34 p.m. Now the program for tonight. Meet the Candidates Part 2 and the Alps to Ocean talking to Jeff Omnett.
Welcome on behalf of North Otago Grey Power, and thanks to everybody that's turned up today, including the media, and it's nice to see we've got two gentlemen here from the Waitaki boys, so that's really good. Just a wee bit of housekeeping before I hand over to Alec, and just by the way, if anybody wasn't there nearly 3 years ago, Alec's conducted that too. He's a pretty good conductor of these things. And seasoned, yes. That's good, I didn't think of. Now, just a wee bit of housekeeping here for those that are not familiar. The toilets are right out the back through the bar area. So when you come in, if you went to the right, you would have been going to that bar area and right down towards the end of the toilets. The fire exit, or exit over here, emergency exits here. Obviously, we're not expecting anything like that, but if you did happen, please leave orderly and by whatever you consider the safest exit to use. So without further ado, I'll pass you over to Alex, and he'll run through how things are going to go and introduce the candidates. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Malcolm. Welcome along, people. This is obviously a very important part of our democratic process. So good to see so many people here participating. What I would like to set down from the start is that we hope we will come here to gain information, and we will insist on a level of respect for each other in that process. I'll introduce the candidates from this end. We have Glenda Alexander.
Good afternoon, everybody.
We have Sue Kurtz. Hessel Van Leeren. Donald Aubrey. And Jackie Dead.
Good afternoon, everybody.
I'll leave you to sort out which party they represent as they go. They'll probably give you some clues in that process. What we're going to do is, in any questions requiring a presentation from each candidate, we will start at this end, Glenda, and work down to Jackie for the first instance. Then, for the second question, or the second presentation, whatever it happens to be, we'll start at Sue and work down and come back to Glenda and so on. That will give the candidates a different order in each question rather than putting the same person up front each time. There will be a 3-minute statement from each candidate to start off. Then there will be a question answered by each candidate. The question is, and could the candidates get this question now? They probably have. The question is, what is your party's position on electricity reforms and costs? How will you implement these, and what benefits do you foresee for the Waitaki electorate? Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to answer. There will be a bell at 1.5 minutes and a final bell at 2 minutes. I would ask the candidates to finish off when that second bell is rung, or I'll stand up and make noises. Yes, indeed, funny noises. And there will then be questions from the floor. We did invite each secondary school. I think we only have Waitaki boys responding to that. Thanks, boys. You get one question. They will give the question on behalf of youth. That's not to say that I'm presuming that the rest of you are older. Again, the questions from the floor must be questions. And most questions can be asked in 2 sentences. I will ask a person who is making a speech from the floor to ask their question if that's necessary. Probably won't be. You're all very intelligent. So we'll now start off and... yes. For the 3-minute question, 3-minute opening statement, there will be a bell at 2.5 minutes and a final bell at 3 minutes, at which time we will expect the candidate to cease speaking. Thanks very much.
Could Warren just demonstrate the 30-second go bell, which is the wheel one? And the big one is time to be quiet. Any guess? No, Linda's the first one to.
Yes.
What's the time? Good afternoon, everybody. That's quite loud, isn't it? It's very nice to be here and great to see so many of you. We've just come through this morning from Twizel, through Oamaru, and we started the day there, a very cloudy day, and then as we got closer and closer to the coast, it's an absolutely beautiful part of the country. So briefly, in my 3 minutes, I'd just like to sort of introduce myself a bit more. I'm married to Rex, who's up the back. We have 3 adult children, aged 42, 40, and we have a year 13 finishing her school year this year for the last year. She'll be 18. We have 4 grandchildren, and basically in the past I've been a nurse, a negotiator, an organiser and a manager. I would probably describe myself as a campaigning social activist, and I prefer taking action to talking endlessly about doing things. And probably if I'd been born a century earlier, I would have been a suffragette. I like to implement change and social injustice, and my inability to single-handedly make changes is a complete frustration, which is why I'm standing up for Waitaki. Because I want to see a government elected that puts people first, a government that makes sure everyone gets a fair deal, that our young people get the best start possible, and to ensure families are supported into their own homes, and that the rental accommodation that they are using or renting is up to standard and is healthy and safe and warm. That Labor is putting forward a policy around a healthy homes guarantee. I'd like to see education start early at preschool level and go on for life. I think there's still things all of us can learn, even those of us that are in our senior years. I would also like to see people have the best possible start and to be able to maintain their families by having decent jobs and decent pay for those jobs. I'd like to see our senior citizens treated with respect and cared for, and make sure that they get the medical attention that they need, and that they're looked after when they need to be in rest homes with fully qualified and staff that know what they're doing, and that they get the best possible care available. We also need a healthy economy and a healthy environment, because if we're to look after our greatest treasures, which are the people and the land, that's what we need to have to make sure people flourish. A Labour government will put people first, and we will create a better New Zealand for all.
Now, Sue.
Kia ora, my name is Sue and I'm based in Wanaka, and I'm here today to ask you to give your party vote to the Greens. This is a crucial election. We've got 1 in 4 of our kids living in poverty. We've got 60% of our monitored rivers that are not safe for swimming. We know that we can do a lot better. The Greens have got a well thought out plan for our country. We've gone through the rigorous process of thinking what's the most important things for us to do. We've budgeted really carefully, and we've got an independent audit to show that our books are going to deliver us a bigger surplus than national will, and we'll be able to pay down debt faster over the next 6 years. The Greens are committed to living within our means. But at the same time, we don't have to sacrifice an education system, a health system and a clean environment. We're going to reallocate budget so that we can invest in New Zealand education and health systems so that our teachers and our nurses and our aides and our care workers are properly supported. The Greens are going to make it easier for families to make ends meet. We're going to extend 20 hours free ECE subsidy to kids under 2 and a raft of other policies. The Greens are going to make sure that all of our kids have the chance to use their time at school to set themselves up to make a decent living. The Greens are going to make the shift to a smarter, greener economy that works for everyone in our country. And one of the ways we're going to do that is by increasing minimum wage over the next 3 years to ensure that people have got money in their pockets. Some people are afraid that that means businesses are going to go bust, but what's actually going to happen is that money's going to flow out into the local economy. You know that you can trust the Greens to put our clean green brand ahead of money making. And we really have got some strong standards that we want to put in place to make sure that our rivers stay clean, our beaches are free of oil, and that we continue to be able to fish in our streams and lakes and rivers. We want to make the shift to clean green energy. We want to shift away from fossil fuels, so we're going to implement a carbon tax, and we're also going to support people to put solar power on homes and schools. The Greens are a well-established party. We've got stable leaders, we've got a really united caucus, so we're all working hard to get the things done that need to be done. We're not fighting amongst ourselves. We've proven that we can work with parties across the spectrum to make a real difference. The Greens have fresh ideas that can make New Zealand a better place. We need the Greens in government to be able to tackle the social and the environmental and the economic problems that we have in our society at the moment. So if you love New Zealand, I want you to go out and party vote Green on 20th of September.
I've tried previously to have a go. I'm Heston Langwera. I live in Cromwell. I've been there for 20 years. And I'm self-employed as a property maintenance contractor. Our successful governments have had an ability under current economic parameters to fund investment in infrastructure and business and environmental protection and clean up an efficient health system and good education with their own resources. Likewise, the current government are undertaking massive borrowing, selling on prime land, important strategic assets, promoting overseas takeover of New Zealand businesses, inviting exploitation of our natural resources at the cost of our native flora, fauna, and putting out a welcome mat to wealthy overseas individuals willing to bring more money into the country. This has led to the country's economic management being a narrow focus on the fears of inflation, Auckland housing bubble, and pocketing off the country to the highest bidder. Most economists agree that as we do, that some government spending over and above taxation is necessary to keep an economy healthy. Currently, the government goes into debt by borrowing from private banks in order to fund that additional spending. That is because governments only create 3% or less of the nation's money supply, mostly in the form of notes and coins. The remaining 97% is computer-generated, created by private commercial banks. Therefore, the commercial banks have a monopoly to create nearly all of the nation's money, a fact that most people are completely unaware of. We would implement major features of the Chicago Bank Plan, which was introduced last year in August 2012 by 2 IMF economists but not necessarily IMF policy. The Reserve Bank would produce a larger proportion of money supply and the banks less. This debt-free money would fund infrastructure development, increasing New Zealand's competitiveness and provide a major boost to employment and itself reduce inflationary pressures on the economy. Allowing the government to issue more money directly at zero interest rather than borrowing the same money from banks would lead to a reduction of the interest burden on government finances and a dramatic reduction of net government debt. So the Reserve Bank will be able to fund infrastructure at both central and local body without, as the IMF predecessors, borrowing or incurring interest charges. Taxation currently wasted on interest payments on government debt would be freed up for investment in health and education. Christchurch would receive enough funding necessary to rebuild its infrastructure without need to raise rates or sell assets or delay necessary projects. Projects will be completed faster, taking the stress off battle-weary residents. Existing commercial bank loans to local bodies, hospital boards will be replaced by a no-interest Reserve Bank loan, and costs to ratepayers would go down, allowing for significant rate reductions, as currently 10% of rates, approximately $500 million annually, goes to pay interest on council debt of $4.9 billion. Improved infrastructure would assist in making businesses more competitive, bring costs down and improve our environment and our economy. Thanks very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Donald Aubrey. I was born in Kurau and grew up at the top end of the Waitaki Valley of the Marama, and currently I'm farming with my wife Sue on a property behind Geraldine. Sue and I have 4 adult children. I'm here representing the Conservative Party, which of course is quite a new party, and we have 4 key policy planks. The one that you're probably aware of is to do with binding referenda, and that policy requires that to initiate a referendum we need 5% of the voting population to register their willingness to see a referenda through. When the referenda is put, there must be a minimum of 1 million votes cast, and the majority required to pass it through is above 66%. Now, these are very high thresholds, but the reason for referenda is so that during the period of any particular government, if we think they've gone astray and not acting in the interests of Oamaru or any part of the electorate, we will be saying so. In addition to that, the Conservative Party support a flat tax, so that's above $20,000. Below that, there will be no taxation. In addition to that, we're wanting to firm up on a number of laws, particularly around criminal activity and home invasion. And finally, the Conservative Party stand for one law for all. We think it's time that we moved on from the separate Maori seats, for example. So that's where the Conservative Party stands. Just back to my own position, I'm very proud of the fact that I can stand here and represent the Conservatives and give a different perspective. The reality is that it is likely that the woman on my left will be our next MP. But our job here, along with other candidates, is to ensure that we get the best attention for this district. So I'm here to serve you first and foremost. And in that regard, I think that this area has a lot of potential. And I did 4 years as National Vice President of Federated Farmers. Spent quite a lot of time up in Wellington and travelling throughout New Zealand. So I'm well aware of the issues around water management, irrigation, and the impact that can have on community. What we need here is a strong community. We need jobs, and we need opportunities for our younger folk. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you today. I want to acknowledge my fellow candidates from pretty far-flung places around the region into this beautiful town of Oamaru. So I welcome our out-of-town visitors, and I hope you enjoy your time here in Oamaru. I want to acknowledge the chair and the organisers of today. I'm incredibly proud and humbled to be your National Party MP for Waitaki. I've spent the last 9 years representing you in Wellington, and I have represented you backed by you, backed by the things that are important to you, and those are the things that are also important to me. And I have been a strong voice for you in Wellington, very strong within our party structure. As you know, we can be very strong behind closed doors, and then when we go out into the world, we are a united, focused national party and have been a united, focused national government. When we came into government in 2008, we inherited a global financial crisis, the like of which the world hasn't seen for many years. We inherited an economy that had already gone into recession and increasing levels of government indebtedness. I want to pay credit to Bill English and John Key for their leadership and their stewardship of our economy during those hard years, at a time when we not only turned around and contained government spending, we put a very strong focus on providing good public services. We made a very strong commitment to returning the books back to surplus, which we have done. But we did all that while protecting New Zealanders from the brunt of that recession. So now we are in charge of a growing economy, growing at something like 3.4% currently. We have incredibly low inflation. We have increasing jobs. Our economic activity is increasing, and all the signs are looking very good for a strong, enduring economy. And why does that matter? It matters because to provide the services that we want to provide to people like older New Zealanders, and this is a grey power meeting, then we must have a stronger economy. That is what we offer. The leadership of John Key has been outstanding in the past 6 years. I seek your support now to give me another term representing you, and I humbly also ask you to give your party vote to National to make that happen. We need a strong government in New Zealand, and National is the party that will provide that. Thank you very much.
Out at Jeff Omnitt's place and talking Alps to Ocean and the role of Smash Palace in it.
Right, we're just heading into our 4th season of hiring bikes for the Alps to Ocean. We were probably a bit ahead of our time 3 years ago because there really wasn't much bike trail finished. In fact, there's still a lot unfinished. But
how much do you know exactly? What's actually finished and available on-road or off-road?
Well, they're doing more all the time.
Yes.
And some of the on-road stuff, like from Mount Cook down the side of the lake, they'll probably never have a dedicated track there because there's not many car or truck movements anyway.
Right.
But anyway, it has grown enough that last year there were 6,500 people.
That's brilliant.
And that's staggering to me.
Yes. And are they keeping a record of age groups and is it pretty much a summer scene or what?
Well, last year we only had a 3-month off season. Probably the year before we had a 7-month off season. So, but if someone asked my advice, you want to do it in September to April.
Yes.
You don't want to be heading into the mountains in winter. That's tempting fate a bit.
So age groups, Jeff, and what's the other seasons?
Well, the season's really September to April. The age group is mostly 50s to 70-year-olds that are just leisurely got time to do it. Biking's a new fashion. In fact, it's even described as the new golf. People are wanting to get out on their bikes. It's a bit healthy and it's quite a bit social. We have the families do it, but mostly it's groups of 5 to 15 friends that come from North Ireland, Australia, America, Germany, all over. And they don't just do one bike trail. They want to do bike trails and hiking trails everywhere.
Right. And so far as where they can pick up a car or a bike or a motorbike, where can they do that?
Well, we just say yes, really. We do encourage people to start from Oamaru because we want them to stay in Oamaru and enjoy Oamaru and North Otago.
Yes.
But we get some people that are short of time, so we'll pick them up at Christchurch Airport and run them straight to Mount Cook. We'll pick them up at Queenstown Airport and run them to Mount Cook. But preferably they get to Oamaru and have a night or two, and then we'll run them up. And so we're the do-it-yourself tours. We drop them at Mount Cook and then they're on their own.
Brilliant. Yep. And that's a point when you mentioned Mount Cook. The issue of getting from Mount Cook across to Oahu and thinking about having a bike or a car or a motorbike between Mount Cook and Oahu, obviously they do a different route if they're flying across, do they?
Yes. We there's two options getting across from the Hermitage. At present there's two helicopter options, and soon there'll be a hovercraft option. And some people don't want to spend the $90 or whatever it is on a helicopter, so we take them up the gravel road and to the Jolly River car park, and they start from that side.
Right. And so far as them all being really skilled bike riders, or they come from an office job, or they've just flown from somewhere and spent 2 days in the air, what's the bike demand of?
Well, we've had some people from Dunedin do it in 2 days. They've also done the Central Otago Rail Trail in 4 hours 50 minutes. So I presume they've got to watch it on TV to see where they've been.
Yes.
Most people take 3 to 6 days. I did it myself with a friend, and we took 5 days. And so they were a couple of 80k days and a couple of 45k days. And I hadn't really been on a bike for about 40 years, but 3 months training, and we did the Central Otago Rail Trail, and then a wee bit more training, and we did Mount Cook to Oamaru reasonably easy. You've still got to remember there's a 4 or 5 months off season, so you'd be loath to go and build something new dependent on cyclists going past, because when you divide 6,500 cyclists over a couple of hundred days, it's not a huge number on any one day.
So that's the numbers, about 6,500 for...
There was last year.
Yes. Okay, and that was up by a plot from the year before.
Oh, I don't know, it might have only been 1,000 the year before. Percentage-wise, absolutely huge.
Right. Okay, and you said about the folk from anywhere in the world. Many New Zealanders?
Yes, possibly a third of them from New Zealand. Yes. And perhaps 2/3 are from everywhere else. Wow. We've had a German couple hire the tandem bike, but they were used to riding a tandem bike. Just all sorts.
Okay, well, just thinking about what you've got cars, cycles, motorcycles, and we've got a machine here. What's the split between people wanting a car?
Well, $300 a day for the Harley, that sorts most people out. That's just an opportunity. I had a couple from Canada, they hired it for 5 days, and I had a couple from England, they hired it for a couple of days, and I've had a wee bit of interest from ex-Oamaru people who are working in the mines in Australia or something. When they come home, they might just hire it for a weekend instead of spending $30,000 buying one and a couple of grand a year on registration, warrants and insurance.
Is that what it is?
Yes, they just hop on this one and have the freedom.
Indeed. Okay, and of the bikes, are they mountain bike types?
No, they're just called comfort bikes. Yes. So they have suspension, and they have a gel seat, and they have reason. A gel seat's just a padded seat. You need everything going for you when you're going to spend 320k on a bike. Indeed. If you get a a blister the first day, you'll still have it on the 5th day too.
Or worse.
Yes.
Or worse. Okay, right. The comfort bikes. Are they really called that?
Yes.
Or,
Yes, they are.
Oh.
And so it doesn't have a big wide tyre, because the wider the tyre, the harder it is to pedal.
Yes.
So it has suspension. They've got carriers and pannier bags, and we supply them with water bottle holders and helmets, because if you're coming from overseas, you don't want to be bringing that stuff with you.
No.
Just bring your own bike shorts is about all you need to do.
Are they then camping on the way? Like they can carry a tent or a truck tent on their back kind of thing?
No, most people, there's such good accommodation all the way, from backpackers to 5-star hotels, that most, or 99% of people, want a good bed, good shower, and perhaps even a wine with tea.
Indeed.
So not necessarily 5-star, but not a tent either.
Right. Okay, and well, your cars then probably not as much interest, because or is that they want to do the off-road part and then they'll have the bikes for...
Yeah, the odd person will hire a van and have a backup driver. So if there's a group of 10 and one person doesn't want to ride but doesn't want to be left at home, that's kind of perfect, because they can drive the van and cart the gear. But mostly everybody wants to ride, nobody wants to drive.
Yes.
So there is a shuttle service for bags at $15 a day, and they'll shift bags from Twizel to Marama to Kurau. So there is that bag shuttle service available.
I realise I said that back to front. I'm thinking about the car on road, but really, as you say, it is the factor of carrying their gear and everybody having an opportunity to ride.
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, well, should we look more in greater detail of the machine? Is it brand new or?
I know it's probably 6 years old, but it's only done 6,000 kilometres.
Yes.
And that's not the only bike I have access to. If there's a group of 4 wanted bikes, well, I've got access to other bikes too.
Right.
So we just keep saying yes to tourists. It's all a bit new.
Yes.
I've had the wrecking yard 30 years and there's nothing new about that anymore. So the rentals and the hire for tourists, that's new and interesting.
Well, I mean, I feel a bit like you, and we've been together on the whole heritage scene, but for historic walks,
yes.
I find there's a greater number that come from overseas. But it's a case of hooking into the system. So where are you doing your advertising? You're doing it through Illustration, or how are you doing it with your own?
We've got a website, and we're tied up with the Oamaru site, and people all the bookings are done online. In fact, I encourage that if someone rings, I ask them to reply by email, and then I can give them options. It's all in writing, and then they can forward it off to their friends, all in writing. So I don't have to talk to 10 people in one group. I email them once and it spreads out, and it's no confusion, it's all there.
And so far as where they're staying on the way down, thinking about, they then are doing that themselves, say through TripAdvisor or some other...
They just get on alps2ocean.com, and that lists everything, restaurants, motels, hotels, it's just all there. And we've got a good man in Twizel that is just right up to date. As things, there's even, if there's logging trucks working on a road, it'll say that on the website. And it's just updated regularly, it's great.
Well, I realise we're standing in front of this, which is not all the info. So how many can you carry on top of this?
We've got three trailers. The biggest one takes 13 bikes. This one's about 7. And we've got 27 bikes, and we've only got 27 bikes because one day last year I had 27 people all go out at once. But if 40 people all wanted to go out at once, well, I'd just go down to Victor Nelson's and get some more bikes, and we'd say yes to all of them too.
Well, that is a case of when somebody asks you and it's a good idea, you say yes, and you've got a record of that, Jeff.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, well, I don't have a business plan because I'd have no idea what opportunities were going to pop up. So we just, if it makes sense, we say yes.
Welcome back. I trust you enjoyed those programs. And thank you for watching 45 South tonight. Should anyone have any queries, you can find us at 17 Itchen Street, or you can send us an email at 45South, it's south45tv@yahoo.co.nz, or leave us a message on our cell phone, which is 027 45 South, and that is 027 45 76 884. Thank you again for watching 45 South tonight. Do have a lovely evening. Good night.